My name is Corrie Martin, and my presentation is over the many riddles found in the piece Alice in Wonderland, as riddles have become the foundation of the work. Lewis Carroll wrote Alice in Wonderland, and it was originally published in 1865. Carroll was very close family friends with a man named Henry Riddle, who lived in England, so Carroll would spend as much time as he could visiting friends and family at the estate, so he spent a great deal of his time making up stories to entertain Henry's young daughter, Alice Riddle, who later became the inspiration for the character Alice in Alice in Wonderland. Riddles are mental puzzles that make you laugh while also containing some intellectual integrity. The purpose of riddles is to entertain the reader or viewer, and the combination of puzzles, humor, and wit tend to reveal something about society. Sometimes riddles contain a deeper meaning, and other times they do not, as it is the nature of the nonsense of the piece. Here is a list of some of the multiple examples of riddles throughout Alice in Wonderland. Most of the riddles throughout the piece are purely for entertainment purposes, but I do think you can look at a couple and analyze them in ways that could teach you a lesson. For example, the riddle between Alice and the Mad Hatter that goes, "I don't think, then you shouldn't talk," said the Hatter. This can mean that you always need to think about what is about to come out of your mouth before you say it, because if you don't think beforehand, then you could end up saying something you don't mean. Also, the riddle where Alice says, "I'm afraid I can't explain myself, sir, because I am not myself, you see," can be analyzed to where Alice is undergoing the normal mental and physical changes that every young person goes through, so she is still figuring out who she is as an individual and is therefore unable to answer the question. You can see the riddle's meanings are not just on the surface and are trying to touch people in a deeper way and teach lessons. Most riddles in the movie are answered, however there is one that never is, and the writer never intended for it to even have an answer. Since 1865, this riddle has been making people go crazy while thinking about all the possible answers. There are many answers that make sense and can answer the riddle, however the fact that there are so many possible answers and Lewis Clark didn't leave one, so the readers are left to fend for themselves, is the part that is making Alice in Wonderland fans go insane. Eventually, Carroll finally gave in and produced an answer. Because it can produce a few notes, though they are very flat, and it is never put with the wrong end in front. Carroll's answer was not as popular as his original riddle, so readers continued to produce their own responses. One suggestion is that both ravens and writing desks have bills and tails. Another points out that they both flap up and down, which is an allusion to the wooden rolling tops fitted to some old-style desks. And both of them were famously used by Edgar Allan Poe, whose poem The Raven had been published 20 years earlier. Explanations like these are all perfectly workable, but none satisfied Carroll himself. Sometimes when Carroll visited the Riddle family, he would stay at an inn on the property called Ravensworth. So some people also believe the unsolvable riddle is an allusion to the Riddle's Ravensworth estate, which essentially served as Carroll's writing desk while he worked on the book. Throughout the piece, Lewis Carroll points out the ways that life frustrates expectations and resists interpretation, even when the problems seem familiar or solvable. Alice goes through a variety of obstacles and riddles where she must solve puzzles to get through Wonderland. And the Mad Hatter's riddle and the Queen's crochet game have no purpose or answer. Alice soon realizes that she can't expect to find logic in her problems in her adventures through Carroll's riddles, and they soon illustrate that life is just a meaningless puzzle. At first glance, riddles can seem easy to understand, but as you reread it and think about the meaning a little more, it's the clever wordplay and endless possibilities that draw in so many people. Lewis Carroll used a variety of double meanings and symbolism throughout his riddles to illustrate this point. This piece overall is so fun and continues to be so popular with all the ages even today due to the humor and playfulness that entices the young viewers and the continuing depth and intelligence that also draws in the adult fans.